Awesome. And we are live. Welcome to the first, we're all going to wave. We're going to wave. We're going to wave. Yeah. It's a nerd thing, whatever. Welcome to the first official Nonprofit Marketing Nerds Nerd Out Live. And if you're coming on and excited to hear all about going viral, and I would say the good, the bad, and I know Renee has a few tips too of going viral, then you've come to the right place. For the next, I think, probably 35 minutes, we all have different experiences with going viral, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're excited to share them with you. We'd love to. I see a few people have hopped on live. If you're here joining us, please, please, please comment and let us know where are you joining from. And we will make sure any answers you have, feel free to, any questions you have, feel free to drop them there and we will answer throughout the next 35 minutes. But for now, I'm so excited. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kelly Hernandez. I'm the CEO of Nonprofit Marketing Nerds. We help nonprofits, associations, and social impact innovators, probably just like you, blah, 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 through marketing that works. I don't remember what our tagline is. We'll work on it. They're going to be, Valeria's like, oh, hi. I see our graphic designers joining us. Greetings, where are you joining from? Kansas City. Awesome. Well, while people are still logging in, we're going to go ahead. And this is my first time being able to introduce live other members of the team. And Valeria, is this your first LinkedIn Live ever? Have you done a LinkedIn Live before?
Yes, it is.
It is your first LinkedIn Live. Awesome. And Renee?
Never.
Yeah, I've never done a LinkedIn Live either, so.
Awesome. So there we go. Hello from San Diego, Playa del Carmen.
Woo-hoo.
And I know Pilar is joining us from Santa Fe, Argentina. Awesome. For those of you who joined, I would love to first introduce our newest team member. We're going to go ahead and introduce first. From Iran. Awesome. Welcome. I would love to introduce Renee, who is our social media strategist. And then Valeria, who I think is our first team member. So we have our newest team member and our first team member. Oh, I didn't realize that till just now. Is our client success manager. And this live happened kind of organically. And I'd love to kind of start, Valeria. You've had kind of a lot of things happening in your social media life outside of work. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your viral journey?
Yes, it was very sudden. I went from 10 followers to 12,000 and two viral videos with over 1 million views on TikTok. All thanks to telling my uncle's story and trying to make his dreams come true. So it's been a crazy journey. It happened overnight. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to tell that story today.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, you going viral is kind of what motivated this. And then Renee joined. I'm like, now we all need to talk about it. So very different, I think, experiences, right? But specifically with your uncle's story, who are you? What video went viral? Tell us a little bit more. For especially, I'm not a TikToker. So where can they find that video? And then what was it about?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, the video is on TikTok. And my uncle's story, the whole thing is 2 years ago, my uncle had surgery and everything went well until later he had another surgery where we found out he had cancer, which, it's a very big thing. Life changes a lot. And I just promised myself that if things went well for us, that I wanted to do something for him to motivate him because, surgery, chemo, all of those things. I was like, how can I help him? So I gathered my stuff, wrote his story, and with the help of another team member, actually, we created the video that went viral on TikTok, directed to my uncle's favorite singer. And he saw it, he wants to meet us, and now my uncle is pretty much everyone's uncle. Everyone adopted him. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and I love that you also didn't like tell your uncle you were doing it and didn't tell him when it was going viral, right? And then you just told him, and like he's a mini celebrity, right? So people like recognized him off TikTok.
Honestly, it was a surprise, and my plan was to keep it a surprise until the day of the concert when we met the artist. But people were starting to message him like,
Oh,
invite me to the concert. Where can I see it? And I was like, no. So we had to tell him, and I was just like, well, yeah, you are kind of a celebrity.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't believe it. And now people just wave at him on the street, and he's like, oh, you're from TikTok. Yes, hi. Um, it's been really funny
Yeah, I think one of the so
to
it sounds like
see
one of
his
the effects of going
adjustment to that.
viral, right? It sounds like one of the effects of going viral is you can create a mini celebrity in a night, right?
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
overnight. Yes.
Oh, wild. And then Renee, I know you have a couple experiences with going viral. Will you share a little bit about maybe you're a have you ever had strangers come up to you and be like, I know you from blah blah blah?
I've had people say it, and I've gotten things where like people be walking past me at Target, and they'll be like, and I don't know, I'm like, is that why, or do I know you actually? It's a weird thing, but
yeah. Well, share a little bit. And again, I think we all have very different experiences. And maybe we're starting like I'm probably going to say like how the story for me about how viral did nothing. But will you share a little bit about going viral?
yeah, and that's what I've gone viral multiple times. And the main one that I was focusing on is I had a few series of videos that helped me go viral and helped me get like multiple news exposure, like to Newsweek, Marie Claire, the New York Post, just multiple things, because they really love my story. And I think the way that it can be done effectively is like if you put together a video where you've already done the story for them, they're like, oh, they just want to scoop it up and retell the story. But it can be so great to building your brand or getting word out about an organization, because immediately all these news outlets maybe want to share your story more, that type of thing. And that really worked for me in that sense. But of course, with going viral, there are the downfalls too, which is what we're here to talk about. So
yeah, and I love that even for like nonprofits that are hopping on. Again, if you're joining late, oh, what a cute story it is, right? Oh, Shaughnessy. I think for many nonprofits, they don't do the work of doing the storytelling, and then they're just like the end result, right? And they're like, why is no one covering this? And I'm like, well, we house 21 people. It's not nearly as exciting as a specific story of a specific person, right?
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And I can't wait to hear some of your tips. What was one thing for both of you when you were like, wow, going viral is cool? What's one of the things that was really cool for you about going viral?
You can go, Valeria.
I think for me, it was seeing how many people resonated with my uncle's stories. Like, we got so many comments of people who went through the same type of surgery, different surgeries. So that was really cool to just see that it was resonating, and that my uncle kind of became like a hope person for them.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, that's really something beautiful for me.
Oh, Valeria, you just passed the goosebumps test. We talk about the goosebumps test when we're doing storytelling. I think everyone hearing you talk about the impact is like, oh, yeah, that is a thing. That's cool. Awesome. Renee, what about for you?
I'm going to just steal, because at first I was like, oh gosh, I really don't like going viral, which is probably something nobody knew or whatever. But I do love when you get comments from people who are going, oh my gosh, I so relate to this. I needed this message today. This was so impactful. Thank you for sharing. It can be such a reminder that we really are all connected, and we all have so many more things that we, you know, really relate to, like people relating to Valeria's uncle's journey, or maybe her as a family member's journey. For me, it was largely sharing like being overwhelmed in my life and needing to slow down. And it's such a reminder going viral when you can connect with so many people. You have this opportunity to see how many people relate to you in your life, or with whatever particular story you're telling. And that's really huge.
Yeah. And I think, for me, I'm going to I know you both have personal experiences with going viral, right? And I think it's so vital. Often especially for nonprofits and associations, we think that like, no, it needs to be some boring agency thing, but like only through these very grounded, specific things, even for your agency, for your organization, will you be able to go viral? And I would say it was not early on in my career, but, and Renee, did you ever watch the viral video that I sent?
Yeah, I did.
It's so funny, isn't it? So I wore like 20 hats, like most nonprofit people, and actually was the director of PR and development for like kind of one entity that had like 5 totally different entities under them. And one of them was an animal shelter. It was primarily a developmental disability service provider, but one of them was an animal shelter. And I kind of got pulled in when a volunteer video, not ours, a volunteer made video went I would say like super viral. Like I talked to a couple people like doing studies about how viral it went. It got immediately translated, I think, in over 400 in some languages, like within the first 24 hours. And it was a video about people doing yoga with cats. And like we all see the goat yoga stuff now. This was pre-goat yoga. I'm talking, this is a decade ago, like pre-goat yoga, before it was a thing. And it was just a simple video that was put on YouTube, but it went out because I think it was told in the right way, because the volunteer had the skills to write the right press release as well. And it just went super, like every single media outlet, including a German media, people came from Germany to the like rural Midwest to do a story on it. And like, it was this whole huge thing. And I had to supervise this like media splits. It was wild. But so this is, I think, the negative of going viral. One, I would claim, like, as an organization, it was very stressful because there were a lot of stakeholders that then I was in charge of and managing, right? And I think, Renee, what was the question you asked when you were getting more information? Do you remember?
When I was getting more information?
Yeah.
Oh, from you about your video? I don't remember. Oh, I asked you like if it resulted in more adoptions and things like that.
Like, I think no more adoptions, no more donations. Like, it was cool, but like, you know, we're big at nonprofit marketing nerds on like, to what end? Like, getting lots of views is great. Like, right. So like, it was so cool and fun. It also pulled me away from like my primary job responsibilities for almost a month. And like, to what end? Right. Like, but it was super cool. But I will, I guess I'll be the warning, and then we'll go back to like how to do it. But for us, at least, the messaging and the impact was it was like entertainment focused, right? It's like, oh, cute kittens, yoga. It wasn't about the need really. And so, no, I don't think it brought in, I mean, maybe like $400 or $500 more in donations. Maybe. I do think it raised brand awareness for the volunteer group that ended up being a nonprofit itself. But, there wasn't, again, it went internationally viral, not local viral. Yeah, I don't even know if those sweet kittens, I don't even know if they got adopted, right? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it didn't seem super, like on my end, I'm like, this just seems like a lot of hustle and bustle with no real end. Did you guys Valeria, you said you have so many followers now and people really care and you feel like you made an impact, right?
Yeah, but you know, with that also comes kind of the downside of people assuming some things of like our family dynamic. So, you know, it's honestly not that many people, but we did get a few comments on some of the videos like, oh, this was happening in the background. I wonder if this is how they live. And we were like, well, you know, not really the best, but you know, I think we didn't really pay attention to those because we were getting surrounded with so much positivity and love and appreciation for my uncle. But that was definitely something that hit me in particular because I was the one reading the comments and replying to them. So I would say that was a little bit of the downside for me.
Mm-hmm. And Renee, you have similar experiences, correct?
Oh yeah. And that's why I think what the tough thing is, if you're going viral as a person, as a human, not an organization, you're not sharing your business. If you're sharing yourself, and a video goes viral, people are so ready to just pick you apart, or kind of have like a weird conspiracy theory, and they think they know who you are. And that can be really a big downer, which is why like I don't like going viral very much, because of that. And that's why I think, for organizations who are working to do it, there's so much power, because there's power behind the storytelling, where we, Valeria and I had personal stories. You can take those same elements, apply it to your organization, and it immediately doesn't make people dive into like that weird personal side of things where they think they get to pick a person apart. You're kind of in a safer space, which is good news, I feel like.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We did have a video. Now I'm just going to be like, okay, I said share one story. Now I'm going to share two. This is mini viral though. And I would define like viral, what I think all three of us are talking about in terms of going viral. It's not like, oh yeah, we had a video with a couple more views. It's like we had something that literally kind of sort of broke the internet, and then like this, like whoosh, right? But I claim like nonprofit mini viral can be good, where you're like, definitely everyone in my core audience and my community saw this thing, right? That's good. But we had an organization do more of an advocacy video that went mini viral in November. I don't know if Larry might even remember this, in November. And we got a lot of like critiques about, it was a housing related video, critiques about all the things we weren't doing, critiques about how things could have been done better. A lot of, I would say it's a very political time, and I got a lot of political comments. And it was a difficult, I think this is always true. Like by speaking up, like you are kind of allowing others to have a voice about what you're talking about too. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for, like, I know a lot of people maybe are watching like, well, I went viral and I had no idea what to do about it and it didn't feel good. Do either one of you have recommendations for people that on how to deal with those maybe negative effects of going viral, or those spammy comments?
That's what I was going to say. I have as one of my tips is like, when you're willing to say things boldly, like you were probably talking about through the last video, if you're willing to make a bold statement or share something that can be controversial, you're more likely to probably go viral, because you're going to spark the comments. But the thing is, if you go into it knowing that, like, oh, I'm going to make some people mad today, it makes it so much easier, because you're like, it's working. Every single comment you're sharing is feeding this message that I believe in. You're feeding, where I want this to go. So go ahead, keep dropping your hate comments, because it's actually helping spread your message, believe it or not. And I think what people can remember is that you're getting like those like taps. That's a bigger sign. Like you can maybe have like 50,000 little heart like taps and like 1,000 mean comments, but the heart like taps are outnumbering the hate comments, which I think is so important to remember. But it's like, wish they would drop a comment and say something nice in the comments, but the message is being liked. It's just usually the haters are going to speak louder. And I think that's so important to remember.
Yeah. Oh man, it's wild how, I think social media is such a, situation where you have to also manage your mental health. It's not just manage your forward facing image, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know Valeria, you and both of you probably on your own just kind of like dumped into going viral without a lot of prep first. I'm like, oh, I wish you guys would have had the advice you're now giving right back then. But okay, Valeria, do you have any advice? I know you just went through it.
For me, I think it was just not letting the bad comments resonate with me. Like I knew those were just assumptions. That was just one isolated event that doesn't define my family life from what we showed in the video. So I think just knowing that and remembering that when reading comments really helped, just grounding myself and taking it in, because I didn't think anyone would see it. So just, So I was like, this is just gonna, I was like, if this gets 50 views, to me, that's viral. So it exploding, just remembering what my reason was, that was the only thing that mattered.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. I would love, Valeria, if you, I know you're like, you're probably not, she's closed all your tabs. I'm like, we will, if you're watching this, we will drop both of the viral things, probably not the yoga for cats video, but we'll drop a few of the viral things down in the description after the event. For people that are just joining, again, we are nerding out with 3 nonprofit marketing nerds, all about going viral, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're getting ready to actually give some tips. I know Renee already gave a couple. We're getting ready to share a little bit more of we focused on the bad. So I would love any questions you have, drop them in the comments. If you're just joining, I see a few new people. Please let us know where you're joining from. Send us a little love. Again, this is just us nerding out. We're not getting anything out of it, but it's something all 3 of us, I think, are separately passionate about and have, I believe, if you know me, in failing forward. So we've all gone viral in different ways, and Valeria accidentally a couple times really quickly in the last couple months. And you can at least learn from us because we've already done it and failed forward for you and give you some of those tips. I'd love, Renee, I know you have a couple tips. Will you school us a little bit more on tips for going viral?
Yeah, well, I like what Valeria said, where, she said she just had to remember the message that she was sharing. And that was actually one of the tips I wrote down, was just don't try to go viral. Like, there are aspects to going viral. There are things like having and you hear them, like you can Google like how to go viral and you're going to hear the same things that are like, have a good hook, share these, do a green screen. You'll see so many tips and things, but I really, truly believe one of the biggest keys to going viral, or not even just going viral, but having a video that resonates with people, is to really care about the story that you're sharing and the message behind it, which is really great news if it is for a nonprofit organization, because most people strongly believe in the message and their organization, and it makes it so powerful, which is why I like working, in the nonprofit marketing nerds, because I love hearing the stories, and it makes it so easy to share those amazing stories. And when that passion is behind a video, like, that's why Valeria's gone viral twice, is because she had that passion and that heart and that love behind it. And I think that just immediately helps it. So I think if you truly believe in the message that you're sharing, you're way more likely to see success than if you try to like craft a perfect, follow all the steps, check off all the things that that the internet tells you should do. The story's stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that might be actually my biggest thing was like, my biggest tip, and I'm looking at my list now, is to like the best way to go viral is to tell a story. But I might even go a step further than you, Renee, and say like, literally, don't worry about even if it's a video, don't worry about how good it is. And it's funny because we're marketing people, and I think our video editor and our graphic designer are probably watching this and cringing right now that I'm like, don't worry if it looks good, like just do it. But like, the story matters most, and being able to tell a good specific story is more likely to go viral than a lot of nonprofits like to be very generic and use all these like I nerd out about nonprofit storytelling, how to do it effectively. And the one way to do it wrong the most is to just be really, really general. Like, for example, I will tell you, if we would have just posted, there are lots of homeless people in insert city name, we would have gotten no hate messages, right? Because they were like, oh, that's some boring post. But because we told a super, like you said, took the risk, got specific, told a good story, people had opinions. But yeah, okay. Valeria, Renee, do you have another tip first?
Yeah, I mean, I quickly typed some down so that I wouldn't forget in the moment and just panic. But that's what I did, put good video quality, but I like what you're saying, because like Valeria was just doing it like on her computer or like on her phone. But I like what she did to integrate more storytelling. Like, there's video of her uncle, there's video of their family, and that even if you don't have the good quality videos or good quality photos, like that aren't professionally done or anything like that, the humanness, that can make it that good quality is by creating a deeper human connection, by showing those behind the scenes or the real life aspects of whatever's going on. I think that really can enhance a message, versus like if Valeria were to just like sit and have told the story, it probably wouldn't have gotten quite the same impact, when she added in those different elements that made a really big difference.
Yeah, and it was, I think Renee, I remember I sent the TikTok of your viral video to Renee like one afternoon or something. And then like the next morning Renee was watching it and she's like, "Thanks for making me wake up crying." Like but like telling a good story. And we also like I mean, I don't know how fluent your Spanish is, but I was maybe catching like a third of it or a quarter of it. And I'm like, oh yeah.
I had it was the subtitles. I needed the subtitles. But
Okay.
so I was like sitting there reading it, but also just hearing, and the way the video was put together. Yeah, I was like standing over my kitchen sink like, oh my gosh. But it was great, and that's why it did so well,
Yeah. And maybe Renee hasn't even been schooled on this yet for us, but we do have like for storytelling, especially for fundraising as a desired end, the goosebumps test. And we say that like, especially long form content or anything you're sending out in mail, you should only ever do anything with it if it passes the goosebumps test. And like we have a little formula in the background of how to make it, but if you're not feeling it in your body, the emotions of a story, like chances are it's not going to go viral. If you're not super curious, super excited, super scared, super angry, like it's probably like a mediocre video about a mediocre topic that people only kind of feel comfortable, which I mean, I hate to say that, but a lot of people are trying to go viral and like posting very bland content. And they're like, why don't people watch my videos? Right?
Yeah, for sure. I think invoking an emotion, depending, whatever type of emotion you're trying to convey, but that can be really huge. And just building that authentic connection, and that connection usually comes from saying something different that nobody else could be putting out there.
Yeah. Like Valeria's.
I also
Valeria,
have a tip that I think is really important. I'm sorry, I just need to say, because I just noticed, I'm like, I have this and it's so huge, and it's probably one of my biggest pet peeves when I have like worked with anybody in the past, or they've said like, hey, can you review this? So many people want to over explain. And obviously what I went viral for was my minimalist videos, my simplicity, my love of ease. But I think it's so big if you listen to what you said or what you're typing or what you're writing, and then go through and just like hack it and pull stuff out and cut stuff out and eliminate, because so many people want to over talk, or if they do a caption, it's like their caption is like blah, 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 blah. It's too many things, it's too much words. Declutter declutter your words, declutter what you're writing. It's more effective storytelling for sure. That's definitely another one.
yeah. Awesome. Can you okay. No, I don't have a follow-up question to that. Never mind. I don't have a follow-up question. I am gonna so both I'm gonna put Valeria and Renee a little bit in the hot seat. I'm gonna mute myself on this live and go make sure we don't have any questions on LinkedIn. They're not popping up here, but very quickly, if you guys just want to share either one more tip about going live, or even one more warning about going live or what might happen after. Okay. And I'm gonna mute myself so you guys talk to each other. Have fun.
Okay. Okay, Valeria, do you have anything else to add? I feel like I'm talking too much.
Ooh, I think sometimes the topics that work most is what gets a little like behind. You know how some platforms have like specific words that need to be like blocked out just for like SEO, or I don't know. And that was one thing for me where I was like, should I even mention that my uncle has cancer? Should I actually say the word? Because that is a big word, right? But that was the thing that for me was very important, to be like, well, yeah, it's a big word, it's a scary word, but I'm not going to be scared, because at the end of the day, my uncle is still here, he's thriving, he's doing amazing, and that's what I wanted to share. But I think sometimes those topics that really spark some sort of like fear are better, because we don't see them that often. It's harder to find those things, that's what went through my that was like my thought process. I was like, should I mention this? Should I leave it out? um, in the captions, that's very difficult to navigate, but at the end of the day, it's what worked. So I also think that that's something to take into consideration when posting something on the internet.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying completely, because that's what, like clients I've worked with in the past, the word that comes up I remember was like talking about like diversity and ethnicity, when at the time and all the time it was such a loaded topic. But what we were just wanting to share was whatever resources they might have had on those things. And my first thought, I was like, is there a prettier word, like a less loaded way of saying this? And I did go with the less loaded way just because I wasn't sure if the message would be censored and I wanted the message to get out there. So that really can be tough, because sometimes the message is quieted and censored and your message isn't going to be shared if it is a hotter topic, or if you're not intentional with the way you word it. So yeah, you're right. That can be, and a lot of nonprofits and things, they have hot topics. They have important things to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah, it's, you're getting into those hard topics, and how do we navigate that?
Yes.
Yeah, whether you make the bold decision or tone it down a little, but as long as the message is getting shared, then I think you're doing something right.
Right. And we can always take steps, right? Get scarier as you go if you need to.
We have some easier questions than what's the right path. I think that's exactly what you guys are talking about. Like, I think I'm almost like we should spend a whole nother session just talking about like controversial topics, when to lean in, when to pull back, why, right? I've got some easier questions for us. All right, this one is for, let's do this for Valeria. How much can I make going viral? How did your...
Great question. I'm not getting paid. Yeah, I didn't monetize my videos, which is great. But my uncle has gotten, a lot of requests. Can I send him a gift? Can I donate? Can I do this? We don't have that set up. That was my uncle's choice. But yeah, good question. But I'm not getting paid.
Renee, do you have a different answer in your situation? How much can I make?
Yeah, so I will say, if you're talking like TikTok monetization for a personal account or something like that, it's not always a ton. If the video does really quick right away, then you can usually make a bigger chunk. But when I have specifically, and this is kind of a more intentional thing and not something that necessarily pertains to nonprofits often, but if you have like a particular product, whether it's like a digital product or a physical product, and you can find a unique way of creating a good video that talks about that product or that service or whatever it is that you have without being salesy, because that's not going to happen. But if you can share it in a way that's like just fun, I'm just talking about it, then yeah, absolutely. I saw huge success by kind of testing out a certain method with an ebook that I had, and I saw huge amounts of sales really quickly without doing like salesy videos, because the videos did really well. So
awesome. I know and I actually just saw a couple social entrepreneurs and nonprofit consultants actually watching this. So that's a great tip for them, I think, right? And even for nonprofits that maybe aren't looking for sales, but donations, I'm thinking of unique, again, not like we always say, yes, you need to ask again, but you need to first get people to want to give. And so, right, that enticing hook that's not begging, but it's more creative and fun. Sounds great. Now we're getting ready to launch a monthly giving program. Like, I need to pick Renee's brain about how we can maybe hook people in a little better. Too funny. Anyway, Valeria, or no, we'll ask Renee first this one. Again, no right answers. There are some wrong answers. If people give a wrong answer, anyways, no right answers, there are wrong answers. But the next question is, what's the best platform to go viral on?
Oh, it's TikTok for sure, Kelly. I'm just kidding. There are those things, like if you really want to go viral, TikTok is probably your best bet. But again, it goes right back to, what are you wanting to sell? What are you wanting to promote? What kind of momentum are you wanting to gain? in that case, you're probably not going to gain the momentum you want for a business type thing, you know?
Yeah, and we actually just set, right, Renee and I almost missed this live because we were getting set up with a new social media management plus client that's having technology issues. And one of the things I said to him probably like 10 times, just because I think people really need to hear it, is like, just because things get the most views or get a ton of views doesn't mean for the nonprofits that it worked. Because it's all about who is your target audience and how are you reaching them. Like, I know, Renee, you and I both have experience going viral, but like we didn't get anything from it, or it got in front of the wrong audience, right? Like we're going viral for negative reasons. And hopefully have you had that where you went super viral, but it was just people bashing you totally? Have you ever had that happen?
Of course. Yeah. Gosh, let's talk about that. But I will pivot and say, like, I think people are afraid to niche down a lot of times. And sometimes that can be the best thing you do. Yeah, you might get less views, you might get less likes, but you're going to be calling directly to the people you want to speak to, which is way more important, because then you're saying, this is specifically what I want. I want to talk to only you. Because when you open yourself up to the whole world, yes, you might get tons of views and likes and shares and comments, but if it's not gaining you any real traction toward the goals that you have, then it doesn't matter. But I did go super viral sharing how we don't do screens during road trips. And so I buy books for my kids, and people were so pissed that I buy books for my children. Oh, like how my poor kids. I can't believe like that I would force them to read books. But I was saying it like it was an idea for people who maybe want to avoid less screens. Like, my kids are excited. Like, before we go on a road trip, it's like, all right, go pick out a new book. And I was just sharing, like, that's what we do and how fun. I had no idea how many people would be so mad at me for buying my kids books.
Yeah, I think I even remember. So now I'm like, I remember Renee going viral and negative things happening. Like, from like, it's been like 5 or 6 years ago. The one where I think you used to do this a lot, where you were walking through Target and doing all the things you didn't buy. But there was one that just had like a bunch of hate messages, like critiquing. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was. I'm like, it was like critiquing you not liking Target more. They'd be like, oh, you should have bought that. It was cute. But it was like a lot of like.
I was taking my daughter shopping, and I was like pushing the cart, holding the phone and holding a Starbucks coffee. And people were like, oh, look at your Starbucks mug right in the front and center, trying to show off your Starbucks. People love to be mad. People love to be mad. And if you can remember that it's just feeding the algorithm for you, then you're good. You know, I could go on and on the comments.
I see we have about 5 more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free, speak now or forever hold your peace. Drop it in the chat box. If you have any questions and want to nerd out big picture, I know all 3 of us could nerd out about social media all day. We do have a free discovery call, so you can get on my calendar, Renee's calendar, pretty easily and just nerd out about social media. We love it. It's what we do. It's how we live. It's our daily life. Renee could talk about social media 24/7. Valeria lives on social media. I would say you are the most astute consumer of social media, right? So we could, yeah. So we could all nerd out about social media in different ways. Just to reinforce, again, we're talking about tips for going viral, but for those of you that came in halfway through, I want to remind that some of the things we're talking about is like, it's important if you go viral that you know what your end is and that you're working towards that end, especially if you're a nonprofit organization. Like, just getting a bunch of views doesn't really mean anything. Renee also gave, and Valeria is a perfect example of a really good story that someone really, really cares about is the best way to go viral, and then learn how to tell it well and to remove all the fluff. One of the things that came up, again, I'm summarizing our live again, but one of the things that came up for both, I think all 3 of us, is there is, whenever you're putting yourself out there in a public space, even as a nonprofit organization, we've had experiences where there's a lot of negative commenting, whether it be trolls, scammers, haters, people that I call them armchair activists, right? They're not actually doing anything, but they are going to armchair activist on your post. That's going to happen, and be prepared. Valeria, again, some great tips of just like focusing on the positive. So just be prepared that that's going to happen. Renee, Valeria, is there anything else you want to add as we wrap up our first ever nonprofit marketing nerds nerd out?
I was thinking one thing, just because it was the first time I met Valeria. We were talking about social media and things like that. And this was I probably unknowingly was talking to you right around the time you started going viral. I'm not sure if it hadn't happened yet or if it was just about to, but I told you that it made it so much easier for me to go through social media if I just looked at it as numbers, like how many people viewed this, how many people liked, how long did they watch for, rather than taking it on as like such a personal thing. And that's kind of a big part of the behind the scenes, like we're talking about, like, you know, what were the numbers, not just the likes, comments, shares, but like how, you know, did the donations go up? Did more people come in, that type of thing.
Did more cats get adopted? No.
And 0 cats adopted. Like that number matters though, because that tells you something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the first things that we shared. And she was like, oh, that's really helpful. So I'm kind of wondering if it was right around the time you probably went viral.
I think so.
I think it was a month before.
Okay.
Yeah. Wild.
Hopefully it was helpful.
Yeah, I think it was like a month before. And I was starting to. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it totally was. Especially because it was overnight. I left it, had 1,000 views. Woke up, we had 25,000. So I was like, remember the advice that people have given you. So definitely worked. And yeah, it is very true. You know, it's just, I think you have to weed out between everything that's going on and just focus on what your goal is and what the message is. Honestly, like my heart was very just happy to see the results. So I think that's what matters. Just feeling like you actually impacted people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I am going to go ahead and call our first of many, I hope, nonprofit marketing nerd out, LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live. If you're joining us, make sure to, if you're joining us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're joining me on LinkedIn, hey, if you're joining Renee or Valeria, it's your first time seeing their faces. For a lot of our team, it is. Go ahead and find them on LinkedIn and follow along. And if you are interested in getting more support on your marketing or to nerd out a little bit more about going viral, maybe you need some support and you've just gone viral, feel free to sign up for a free discovery call with the Nonprofit Marketing Nerds. And yeah, we would love to nerd out with you. So until next time, take care and do better.